Stay the fuck away. Stay the fuck away. Stay the fuck away. Stay the fuck away. Hello, hello, hello. Sean Patrick here outside. Thought I'd give this a go. Might have some, chainsaw noises or, screaming domestics across the street, but hopefully we don't have to deal with that. Now, as you know, I am a massive sports fan. So let's start there today. It was announced earlier this week that the Toronto Blue Jays will not be playing any home games this season, and many fans have expressed their sadness over this. You are aware that wherever they play, you'd still have to watch it on TV, right? I mean, did the Jays get the Astros to install a center field camera for them? If not, that means what you're lamenting is Toronto not being turned into a revolving plague door. My virtual hugs and kisses go to the spouses and families of those fucking idiots. My intention in doing these posts is to start a public dialogue. And for that reason, I keep asking people to put comments and questions on the comments section. Now, after every show, I get some texts from friends saying, good show, and that sort of thing, or another one where a friend was confused about something I said, and, I clarified it for them. And that's fine. I appreciate the support, and those things wouldn't further the conversation. But one of my friends thought it would be a good idea to watch my post in the middle of the night and text me point by point as they watched it. They made several points, many of which I was going to address today anyway. Now, I don't know why they didn't want to post their comments publicly, so even though I'm making this conversation public, I will change their name to protect their anonymity. So here you go, BJ. You wanted my attention. What? No, it's not for that. It stands for... Oh, you almost got me. Though I am quite certain that they're good at that. Well, we're going to start with BJ's third text, which states, I also believe the biggest issues with the charter is, 1, it originally included property rights, but the NDP refused to ratify it unless it was removed. 2, the notwithstanding clause is the biggest addition to our rights, which gave them the right to revoke any rights. While neither of these things were necessary for the point I was making last week in less than 10 minutes, they are important. So first of all, that explanation of why property rights weren't included is severely reductionist, almost to the point of being entirely false. Property rights were brought up in the discussions preceding the 1960s Bill of Rights and comes up repeatedly with the same issue being cited. Adding property rights opens the door to economic rights. And, as is still true, we don't really want to help the poor. It'd probably cost too much anyway. So when it came time to debate 1982's Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the Liberals and Conservatives had managed to hammer out a property rights clause. The NDP responded by saying, sure, but then we need to include economic rights because of the tight ties to property. The Liberals and Conservatives said, fuck the poor, and took out the property rights so as the rest could be passed. The notwithstanding clause has been a topic of debate since its inception. It means that Parliament or provincial legislature can suspend sections 2 and 7 through 15 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It has never been used by the federal government, and only a few of the provinces and territories have ever used it. In fact, it actually existed not only in the 1960s Bill of Rights, but several provincial legislatures had already adopted notwithstanding clauses before the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. These clauses do also appear in international European and American constitutions, but to a lesser degree. Mainly, its purpose was to make sure that the government had the final say on matters of politics, and could override a judicial decision in the face of public outcry, or if it would adversely hinder the effectiveness of governance. I'd like to say that last bit was a joke, but anyway, this is said to keep the judicial system from being politicized. Supporters of the clause say that because it requires public debate to enact and it only lasts 5 years unless reenacted, it poses no great threat to rights. And being that these final political decisions are taken on by elected officials instead of appointed judges, they are accountable for their actions. I think I'd rather be writing the jokes than finding them in the legal documents. Detractors such as myself and BJ. Are you going to laugh every time I say BJ? Yes. Detractors say a lot of things, but I'd like to quote Morris Manning, who said, "If our freedom of conscience or religion can be taken away by a law which operates notwithstanding the Charter, if our right to life or liberty can be taken not in accordance with the principles of fundamental justice, what freedom do we have?" Yes, this is a very large issue, and this clause needs to be repealed. Now we'll deal with BJ's first text. It's very distracting. Not used to people laughing at me. For a little levity, I quote, "Love that articulate well while drinking." How many did you have before writing that text? Well, as noted in the description, I had several technical issues last week, and what you saw posted was actually my 7th take. Now, very seriously, BJ, stop laughing, said, I quote, "I myself love the supremacy of God because if not Him, all we have left is the government, which will always try to control us." Well, the second half is easy. The purpose of government is to take care of the big things so that we can just continue on with our own little lives. But we stopped paying it proper attention to them, let them take too much power, and abuse their civil servant positions for personal gain. In fact, an ethical politician is like an honest lawyer, and that combination, along with the lack of economic rights, is why our government sees itself as an overlord instead of a caretaker. The first half of that statement is fraught with peril from so many angles. First of all is the suggestion that if you haven't any religion, you haven't any morals. It also suggests that the government is considered an option to religion when it comes to bastions of moral fortitudinous, and given their similarities, I can see the mistake. I think that one, such as my agnostic self, shouldn't need the threat of punishment to do the right thing. That sounds a lot more like coercion to me. Look, I'm just a guy. I don't know whether God exists or not. Maybe he does. But with all the contradictions, ignorance, intolerance, violence, abuse, and the horrible things being done in his sexist name, I choose not to follow him. And yet, even with my lack of religion, I know it's wrong to rape children. I know it's wrong to slaughter people because they don't agree with me. And I know it's wrong to not care if others' rights are trampled on as long as I have mine. Which is my other main issue with that statement. The supremacy of God stuff is great, even though it very clearly steps all over the rights of a great many religious and non religious folk. It directly negates the freedom of conscience and religion clause. There really is no way around that. And here's where it gets scary, kids. Because contrary to popular belief, rights are not free. They come with responsibilities, the first and foremost of which is the responsibility we have to uphold those rights for others, not just ourselves. Otherwise, we're just misusing the notwithstanding clause. Well, that's all for tonight, kids. So please comment in the comments section, share my videos, and subscribe to my channel. Also, don't believe me. Look this shit up. It's out there and easily accessible. Hell, I found it. So until next time, stay the fuck away from each other and wash everything. A lot.